Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden, and this is just a quick little video just continuing with our hedge cutting, because we have, as I said in the past, got an awful lot of hedges to cut. So you saw us doing the box hedging, and I think we did some of the yew hedging and basically lots of the other hedging. But what I thought in this video, we're going to do more hedging, but this is the easy way of doing hedging, because we've got a friend who's a farmer in the village who does all the hedges round here locally. He's fantastic. He's got a tractor and he does it with his flail, whereby he just goes along and does all the hedges right around the local villages. So since we've moved here, he's always done the exterior hedge, and that's made up of a bit of leylandii and some hawthorn, a bit of mixed hedging really, and he's always cut that. But more recently, when we put this hedging in, the leylandii here, it's now reached a certain height, so we get him to do that as well. So that'll be quite nice. It's quite interesting and quite satisfying, I think. Maybe it's just me, but I quite like watching hedging being cut for some bizarre reason. So I thought you might, if you're a bit weird like me, you might like that too. So in this bit of the garden, we've got beech hedging here, and we put the beech hedging in to try and create a zone within this garden, because this garden was very, very windy when we first moved in, and quite disheartening in the early days, because I used to put lots of plants in and they would just be destroyed by the wind. So we knew that we had to create sort of microclimates, and having visited Woollerton Old Hall, we came back kind of fired up with ideas and knew that we wanted to put lots of hedging in. Hedging is great for lots of things. It really has brought all the birds to our garden. Our garden is always busy, hub of activity with birds and bees and all the nature that hedges definitely have brought. But the downside of having lots of hedges is that they are an awful lot of work. And so doing it manually, which is what we have to do on all the other hedges, is quite time consuming. But having said that, once it's done, it's only sort of once a year. Some of them we do twice a year, but once it's done, then it's pretty low maintenance and really holds the garden together for the rest of the year and throughout the winter. The garden looks good even when the herbaceous stuff has all died back. So the hedges to us are important, but although we cut all these manually, picking up all the bits and everything is a lot of work. But we love the fact now that Mark can do all of the perimeter hedges, so all the way around here, all the way behind, as you can see here. And then on this side, we've got mixed hedging here as well. So it's hawthorn, and we used to do that by hand, by machine, but picking it up by hand. And it was always all really thorny. I don't like picking up hawthorn, it's horrible. So it's a great hedge for nature, but not nice to deal with. So Mark now does that with his machine. And the advantage of the machine is that it cuts it, and he can get it to cut it just at the appropriate angle, because when you cut a hedge, it's really important not to cut it straight, and definitely not to cut it like that, but to cut it slightly tapered so it goes in at the top. And by doing that, it allows the light to reach the bottom of the hedge, and it keeps the hedge really healthy. So Mark can do that with the blade of his tractor just angled just so, and he gets it absolutely lovely. And the other advantage is when you're doing a long stretch of hedging, it's quite difficult to keep it all straight, whereas he can just lock in the height and it will maintain the height all the way around. So it really does help. And then also it cuts it up into fine little bits. The blades cut it up really tight, really tiny little bits, and then it's got a blower on it, so it blows all the bits under the hedge. So that's good as well, because it acts like a mulch. It mulches the hedge, and it adds nutrients to the base of the hedge, feeds the hedge, and it also means that we don't have to pick all the bits up. So absolutely love that. So Mark's made a start. He's going around some of the neighbours, but we'll go and join him and just see how he does it, because I think it's quite interesting. So this is Mark. He's just reversing down our lane. Now we're surrounded by country lanes, and maintaining the hedges is absolutely crucial for safety, as they can quickly become big and start to encroach on the road, and this impairs visibility for drivers. And this hedge that Mark is just starting on, this is a leylandii hedge, which we put in just to create a barrier to reduce the wind. It hasn't got much value for birds. It hasn't got any berries or food for the birds, so it's safe to cut. We're well into September, and I've checked that there are no birds present. And he's now coming to some mixed hedging. So this hedging will just be lightly cut. It's just cut once a year and it won't be cut on the other side. So there is still, if there are any berries in there, there will still be berries on the other side. But it's important to keep it tidy and cut back for, as I say, visibility on the roadside. So as we watch Mark work, we're just going to talk a little bit about hedges. So as I've said, hedges provide excellent natural shelter both for us and for wildlife, and garden hedges protect our outdoor spaces from strong winds while offering screening for privacy. But they really come into their own as a source of food and habitat for wildlife in your garden. So hedge plants are really cheap, easy to plant and form an attractive boundary more quickly than many gardeners imagine. As well as providing structure to the garden, they can be perfect for wildlife and particularly nesting birds. So one of the very first YouTube videos I ever did was my best hedging video, in which I discussed some of the most popular hedges grown in domestic gardens. I think I should probably perhaps revisit this video, as over time I've discovered a lot of really good plants that make fantastic hedges, but which in my early days of gardening I may not have been aware of, and probably many people aren't aware of them too. So that's a video for the future. We are just entering into hedge planting season, so if you're keen to add more structure to your garden by using hedges, now is the time. The best time to plant an evergreen or a semi-evergreen hedge is early autumn, and we did a video of us planting one of our yew hedges, and it's amazing to see how big it's got since then, and these were root ball plants. So the video is called Tips for Planting a Hedge, so have a look at that if you want an evergreen hedge. Deciduous hedges can be planted from mid-autumn to late winter and at a push into early spring. These are bare root plants and they're very cheap to buy, and they establish really quickly too. They can be planted in a single row or in a staggered row, as Alistair is doing here, and this makes for a thicker hedge. So we did a video called Bare Root Hedging, How to Ensure Success, so have a look at either of these videos if you're keen to add hedges to your garden this year. It's worth stating that planting should be avoided if the soil is at all waterlogged or frozen, and once planted, new hedges will need to be kept watered for the first year during dry spells. And this aerial shot clearly shows the structure of our garden forming in the early years through hedges. As your hedges grow, formative pruning may need to be carried out on young hedges to encourage bushy growth, but when the hedge reaches the desired height, then maintenance pruning or trimming will be necessary to keep established hedges looking good and staying healthy. We've done lots of videos about how we look after our hedges, but having Mark use his tractor to do the perimeter hedges certainly saves us lots of time. There are numerous tractor-mounted hedge trimmers on the market, but the most common of which is the flail head seen here. And this uses hanging blades which rotate rapidly on a vertical plane to cut and mulch woody growth very successfully. It's quite a skilled job negotiating trees and when on the road having to stop and move for traffic to pass by, but Mark does it very well indeed. Hedges can quickly become leggy and turn into lines of trees very quickly, but if they're trimmed right, they will keep their structure. So when undertaking work on garden hedges, check first that there are no nesting birds, as it is an offence under the Wildlife and Countryside Act of 1981 to damage or destroy the nest of any wild bird whilst it is being built or while it's in use. The nesting season is usually considered to run from March to August, but it can be longer. The management of hedgerows regulation has been made into law from May of this year in England and aims to protect hedgerows on agricultural land. It recognises that hedges provide habitat, act as wildlife corridors, slow soil erosion and water runoff. They also support crop pollination, sequester carbon, as well as enriching our landscapes. So hedgerows must not be cut from the 1st of March through to the 31st of August. While editing this video, I saw people on social media going mad about farmers cutting hedges with tractors as they are potentially removing food for the birds over the winter period, and this made me think twice about posting this video. However, in my experience, our farmers are nature lovers and are custodians of the land, and most want the best. The hedges must be cut for all the reasons previously stated, and there is a short window of time to do the job when the birds aren't nesting in them. Mark tends to cut the hedges within the villages and by the roadsides first, leaving the hedges in the field for the birds to eat the berries until the new year. And because they are done every year, only this season's growth is removed, and that often means the berries, such as this holly hedge, remain even after cutting. So I, for one, thank our farmers for all the great work that they do. So I think that's the end of this video, just a very short little video just showing you how some of our hedges are cut. So it's just worth knowing that there is the option to do that if you've got, local farmers in your area, that they can, they've got these attachments on the tractors and they can do the job so much quicker. So it's worth paying just sometimes to have a little bit of help, because that would have taken us probably about 2 weeks to get all that hedging done that he's done in, quite a short space of time. So it's lovely to be part of a community where we've got all these lovely people, and we've got lots of friends who are farmers, feel very much part of this community. And Mark, after he'd cut the hedge, he came round and had a cup of tea with us, and we were just showing him the hornbeam, the pleached hornbeam trees that we put in all those years ago. The first row, Alistair asked Mark if he would come and help him lift the hornbeam trees into the holes, because it was really, really heavy. So Mark kindly came along and gave him a hand. So he always likes to come and look and see how they're doing, because they've really matured into something absolutely beautiful now. So yeah, it's nice to be part of this lovely community. So thank you very much for watching, and join us again in the next video. Bye for now.